Neurobiology and the brain. Neurobiology is the study of the nervous system, focusing on the brain and how it controls behavior, emotions, and bodily functions. The human brain consists of billions of neurons and trillions of connections, making it the most complex organ. Neurobiology explores how neurons communicate, how memories form, and how diseases like Alzheimer's affect the brain. Structure of the human brain. The brain has three main parts: the cerebrum, cerebellum, and brainstem. The cerebrum controls voluntary actions, thinking, and emotions. The cerebellum coordinates movement and balance. The brainstem regulates basic functions like breathing and heartbeat. These parts work together to manage everything from conscious thought to reflexes. Neurons and neurotransmitters. Neurons are the basic building blocks of the brain, responsible for transmitting information. They communicate using electrical impulses and chemical signals called neurotransmitters. Key neurotransmitters include dopamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine. These chemicals play vital roles in mood, attention, and muscle control. Neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. This adaptability allows the brain to recover from injury, learn new skills, and change throughout life. Neuroplasticity is key to learning and memory and offers hope for rehabilitation after brain injuries or strokes. The blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier is a protective shield that prevents harmful substances from entering the brain while allowing essential nutrients to pass through. This barrier protects the brain from infections and toxins, but also complicates drug delivery, making the treatment of brain diseases like Parkinson's more challenging. Cerebral cortex and higher functions. The cerebral cortex is the outer layer of the brain responsible for higher-level functions like thinking, language, and decision-making. It's divided into four lobes: frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal, each associated with specific tasks like problem-solving, sensory processing, vision, and memory. The limbic system. The limbic system is the emotional center of the brain, controlling feelings like fear, pleasure, and anger. It includes structures like the amygdala and hippocampus. The amygdala processes emotions, especially fear and anger, while the hippocampus is crucial for forming new memories and spatial navigation. The hypothalamus and homeostasis. The hypothalamus regulates vital bodily functions, including hunger, thirst, temperature, and sleep cycles. It maintains homeostasis by balancing internal conditions. The hypothalamus also controls the pituitary gland, linking the nervous system to the endocrine system and affecting hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. The brainstem and basic functions. The brainstem controls essential functions like breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. It connects the brain to the spinal cord and acts as a relay center for messages between the brain and the body. Damage to the brainstem can result in severe, life-threatening conditions. The role of glial cells. Glial cells are the unsung heroes of the brain, providing support, nutrition, and protection to neurons. They help maintain the blood-brain barrier, clean up debris, and regulate the environment around neurons. Glial cells outnumber neurons and play a crucial role in brain health and function. Memory formation. Memory formation involves encoding, storing, and retrieving information. The hippocampus is essential for converting short-term memories into long-term ones. Memories are stored across various brain regions, and retrieval often involves multiple neural circuits. Understanding memory processes helps explain conditions like amnesia and Alzheimer's disease. Synaptic plasticity. Synaptic plasticity refers to the ability of synapses, the connections between neurons, to strengthen or weaken over time. This plasticity is the basis of learning and memory. Long-term potentiation, LTP, is a process that strengthens synaptic connections, making it easier for neurons to communicate and form memories. Sleep and the brain. Sleep is crucial for brain function, allowing for memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and physical recovery. The brain cycles through different stages of sleep, including REM, rapid eye movement, sleep, which is associated with dreaming. Sleep deprivation can impair cognitive function, mood, and even immune response. The stages of sleep. Sleep occurs in cycles, with each cycle containing 4 stages, 3 non-REM stages, and 1 REM stage. Non-REM sleep is deep and restorative, while REM sleep is associated with vivid dreaming. Each cycle lasts about 90 minutes, and the brain needs multiple cycles for optimal rest and recovery. Dreams and the brain. Dreams occur mostly during REM sleep and are thought to play a role in processing emotions, memories, and information from the day. Theories about dreams range from psychological explanations, like Freud's theory of unconscious desires, to biological perspectives, which view dreams as a byproduct of brain activity. Circadian rhythms and sleep-wake cycles. Circadian rhythms are the body's internal clock, regulating sleep-wake cycles, hormone release, and other physiological processes. The hypothalamus helps control these rhythms by responding to light and dark signals. Disruptions in circadian rhythms, like shift work or jet lag, can affect sleep quality and overall health. Neurotransmitters and mood neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine significantly influence mood. Low levels of serotonin are linked to depression, while dopamine is associated with pleasure and reward. Understanding how neurotransmitters affect mood helps in treating mental health conditions like anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder. The role of dopamine in reward and motivation. Dopamine is often called the feel-good neurotransmitter because of its role in reward and motivation. It drives behaviors like eating, social interaction, and goal achievement. Dysregulation of dopamine is linked to conditions like addiction, Parkinson's disease, and schizophrenia. The role of serotonin in mood and behavior. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that affects mood, emotion, and behavior. It's involved in regulating sleep, appetite, and emotional well-being. Low serotonin levels are associated with depression, anxiety, and mood disorders. Medications like SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, help treat these conditions by increasing serotonin availability in the brain. Brain development and neural pruning. Brain development begins in the womb and continues into early adulthood. During childhood, the brain creates more synapses than it needs. Neural pruning is the process of eliminating unused connections to make the brain more efficient. This pruning shapes learning and development, particularly in adolescence. The role of the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for complex cognitive functions like decision-making, planning, and social behavior. It helps regulate emotions, impulse control, and judgment. This region matures fully in adulthood, which explains why teenagers often make impulsive decisions and engage in risky behaviors. The amygdala and emotional processing. The amygdala is the brain's emotional center, processing emotions like fear and anger. It helps determine how we react to threats and stressful situations. Overactivity in the amygdala is linked to anxiety and mood disorders, while damage to it can impair emotional processing and fear responses. The hippocampus and memory formation. The hippocampus plays a central role in forming new memories, particularly long-term memories. It's also involved in spatial navigation, helping us understand and remember our environment. Damage to the hippocampus can result in memory loss and conditions like amnesia. The role of the thalamus in sensory processing. The thalamus acts as the brain's sensory relay station, processing and transmitting sensory information to different parts of the brain. It handles inputs like sight, sound, and touch, except for smell, which has a direct pathway to the brain. The thalamus is critical for sensory perception and consciousness. The role of the basal ganglia in movement. The basal ganglia are a group of structures responsible for controlling movement and motor learning. They help regulate voluntary movements and ensure smooth execution of actions. Disorders of the basal ganglia, such as Parkinson's disease, result in movement difficulties like tremors and rigidity. Neurotransmitters and sleep. Neurotransmitters like serotonin, norepinephrine, and GABA regulate sleep cycles and wakefulness. GABA promotes relaxation and helps initiate sleep, while serotonin and norepinephrine play roles in transitioning between sleep stages. An imbalance in these neurotransmitters can lead to sleep disorders like insomnia and sleep apnea. Sleep disorders in the brain. Sleep disorders like insomnia, sleep apnea, and narcolepsy are linked to disruptions in brain function. Insomnia can result from stress and anxiety, while sleep apnea is caused by interruptions in breathing during sleep. Narcolepsy is a neurological condition that disrupts the brain's ability to regulate sleep-wake cycles, leading to excessive daytime sleepiness. The role of the brain in vision. The brain processes visual information through the occipital lobe, which receives signals from the eyes. The brain converts these signals into images, helping us understand our surroundings. Visual processing is a complex process involving depth perception, color recognition, and motion detection. The role of the brain in hearing. The temporal lobe processes auditory information, transforming sound waves from the ears into meaningful sounds like speech and music. The brain also helps localize where sounds are coming from, enhancing our understanding of the environment. Damage to the auditory cortex can result in hearing impairments or difficulty processing sounds. The role of the brain in taste and smell. The brain's gustatory cortex processes taste, while the olfactory cortex handles smell. These senses are closely linked, as they often work together to perceive flavors. The brain also plays a role in taste preferences and cravings, which can be influenced by memories, emotions, and cultural factors. Brain networks and connectivity. The brain operates through large-scale networks of interconnected neurons that work together to process information. Key networks include the default mode network, which is active during rest, and the salience network, which helps focus attention on important stimuli. Understanding brain connectivity sheds light on cognition and mental health. The role of myelin in brain function. Myelin is a fatty substance that insulates nerve fibers, allowing electrical signals to travel quickly between neurons. It's essential for efficient communication in the brain. Diseases like multiple sclerosis damage myelin, slowing down nerve impulses and leading to symptoms like muscle weakness and impaired coordination. The gut-brain connection. The gut and brain communicate through the gut-brain axis, influencing digestion, mood, and behavior. The microbiome, or the community of microbes in the gut, plays a key role in this interaction. Changes in gut bacteria can affect mental health, contributing to conditions like anxiety, depression, and irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. Mirror neurons and empathy. Mirror neurons are specialized neurons that fire both when we perform an action and when we see someone else perform the same action. These neurons are thought to play a key role in empathy, social bonding, and learning through imitation. Mirror neuron dysfunction is linked to conditions like autism, where social interaction and empathy may be impaired. Neurotransmitters and pain perception. Pain perception is regulated by neurotransmitters like endorphins, serotonin, and substance P. Endorphins act as natural painkillers, reducing pain perception. Serotonin modulates mood and pain, while substance P increases pain sensitivity. Understanding these neurotransmitters helps in developing pain management strategies. Phantom limb syndrome. And the brain phantom limb syndrome occurs when amputees continue to feel sensations, including pain, in the missing limb. This condition arises because the brain's sensory map still retains the representation of the amputated limb. Understanding this phenomenon helps in treating chronic pain and in developing prosthetic technology. The role of the brain in language. Language processing occurs mainly in the left hemisphere, in areas like Broca's and Wernicke's areas. Broca's area handles speech production, while Wernicke's area deals with language comprehension. Damage to these areas can result in language disorders like aphasia, where speech and understanding are impaired. The role of the brain in emotions. Emotions are processed in the limbic system, with the amygdala playing a central role in emotional reactions like fear and anger. The prefrontal cortex helps regulate these emotions, allowing for rational decision-making and impulse control. Imbalances in these areas can lead to emotional dysregulation, as seen in conditions like bipolar disorder. The role of the brain in social behavior. Social behavior, including empathy, cooperation, and understanding social cues, is controlled by various brain regions like the prefrontal cortex and mirror neurons. These regions help us navigate complex social interactions. Dysfunctions in these areas are linked to social disorders such as autism and schizophrenia. The role of the brain in movement and coordination. The cerebellum and basal ganglia control movement and coordination. The cerebellum helps maintain balance and fine-tunes motor movements, while the basal ganglia are involved in voluntary movement control. Damage to these regions can result in movement disorders like tremors, ataxia, or difficulty with coordination. The role of the brain in aging. As we age, the brain undergoes changes, including reduced neuroplasticity, slower cognitive processing, and memory decline. However, lifestyle factors like exercise, mental stimulation, and a healthy diet can slow cognitive aging. Understanding how the brain ages helps in developing strategies to preserve cognitive health. Addiction and the brain's reward system. Addiction hijacks the brain's reward system, particularly involving dopamine. Drugs, alcohol, and other addictive behaviors trigger dopamine release, reinforcing the behavior and creating a cycle of craving and reward. Understanding addiction's impact on the brain helps in developing effective treatments for substance use disorders. Parkinson's disease and the brain. Parkinson's disease is a neurodegenerative disorder that affects movement, balance, and coordination. It results from the loss of dopamine-producing neurons in the basal ganglia, leading to symptoms like tremors, stiffness, and difficulty with movement. Treatments like medication and deep brain stimulation help manage symptoms. Alzheimer's disease and memory loss. Alzheimer's disease is a progressive neurodegenerative disorder that affects memory, thinking, and behavior. It is caused by the buildup of amyloid plaques and tau tangles in the brain, leading to the death of neurons. Early symptoms include memory loss and confusion, eventually progressing to severe cognitive decline. The role of the brain in stress and anxiety. Stress and anxiety activate the brain's fight-or-flight response, primarily through the amygdala and hypothalamus. The release of stress hormones like cortisol prepares the body to react to threats. Chronic stress can lead to long-term brain changes, increasing the risk of anxiety disorders, depression, and other mental health issues. The role of the brain in attention and focus. Attention and focus are controlled by multiple brain areas, including the prefrontal cortex and parietal lobes. The brain filters relevant information while ignoring distractions, allowing us to concentrate on specific tasks. Disorders like ADHD, attention deficit, a hyperactivity disorder, involve difficulties in maintaining attention and focus. The role of the brain in decision-making. Decision-making involves the prefrontal cortex, which weighs options, assesses risks, and predicts outcomes. Emotional areas like the amygdala also influence decision-making, particularly under stress. Understanding the brain's decision-making processes sheds light on behaviors like impulsivity, risk-taking, and moral judgment. Neurotransmitters and love. Neurotransmitters like oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin play key roles in love and attachment. Oxytocin, often called the love hormone, promotes bonding and trust, while dopamine drives the pleasure and reward associated with romantic love. Understanding the brain's chemistry of love helps explain human bonding and relationships. Neurogenesis and brain health. Neurogenesis is the process of forming new neurons in the brain, particularly in the hippocampus. Physical exercise, mental stimulation, and a healthy diet can promote neurogenesis, which plays a role in learning, memory, and mood regulation. Neurogenesis also offers potential for treating neurodegenerative diseases. The future of neurobiology. The future of neurobiology involves advances in understanding brain function and treating neurological diseases. Techniques like brain-computer interfaces, neuroprosthetics, and gene editing could revolutionize brain science. With new discoveries, neurobiology offers hope for conditions like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and spinal cord injuries.